nothing came out. Because in that moment, surrounded by officers, cameras, witnesses, and the man whose child she had just attacked, Karen finally understood. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't an HOA issue. This was a crime. And the street had already decided whose side it was on. Neighbors surrounded us now. They came from every direction. Front doors opening, garage doors half lifted, people rushing out with phones in their hands and shock on their faces. What had been a quiet street only minutes earlier was suddenly packed with witnesses. Angry voices, shocked gasps, hands shaking as people kept recording. "You assaulted a child!" someone shouted. Another voice cracked with rage. "What is wrong with you?" A woman pushed forward, pointing straight at Karen. "She's disabled! You can't do that!" Karen sneered, not embarrassed, not afraid, annoyed. "She's a problem," Karen replied loudly, making sure every phone caught her words. "If you don't draw lines, things fall apart." The crowd reacted instantly. "That's disgusting. You're sick. Someone call the police if you haven't already." My daughter flinched at the noise and pressed her face into my chest. Her body was still shaking, breathing uneven, fear sitting so deep in her that it felt like it might never leave. I knelt with her, one arm wrapped around her shoulders, the other steadying her walker so it wouldn't slide away. "It's okay," I whispered. "You're safe right now." But she didn't look convinced. She peeked out from my shoulder, eyes red and terrified, and looked at Karen again. "Did I do something bad?" she asked softly. That question broke something inside me. I stood up slowly. I didn't rush. I didn't shout. I looked straight at Karen. My voice didn't shake. "You just attacked my disabled daughter." The words felt solid, final. Karen shrugged. Actually shrugged. "Rules don't care about feelings," she said. "Some people don't belong." The street went quiet for half a second, not because people agreed, because people couldn't believe what they had just heard. That was the moment, not when she yelled, not even when she fired the device. The moment she said it out loud, that she truly believed hurting a child was justified, that she believed exclusion was order, that cruelty was discipline, that violence was acceptable if wrapped in authority. A man near the curb stepped forward, his face red with anger. "Who the hell do you think you are?" he shouted. "That's a child!" Karen looked at him like he was beneath her. "I'm the one willing to do what others are too weak to do," she replied. "This neighborhood has standards. Standards." I took a step forward. Several neighbors instinctively moved with me, not to hold me back, but to stand beside me. A quiet, unspoken wall formed between Karen and my daughter. Someone muttered, "I got everything on video." Another voice said, louder, "So do I." Karen glanced around, finally noticing how many phones were pointed at her. She smirked. "Good," she said. "Let them see." She still thought she was right. That confidence, that absolute certain. Ty was more chilling than the device in her hand. My daughter tugged gently on my sleeve. "Daddy," she whispered. I tried to be good. I dropped back to one knee instantly, turning fully toward her. "You were good," I said firmly. "You did nothing wrong, nothing. I made sure she heard it, made sure the crowd heard it too." Karen scoffed. "See?" she said. "Even now you're teaching her excuses." That's when something changed in the crowd. The anger sharpened. A woman stepped closer, voice shaking with fury. "You don't get to talk about excuses after what you did." A man pointed at Karen. "You should be ashamed." Karen laughed again, but this time it sounded thinner, less confident. "Spare me," she said. "People like you are the reason society's falling apart." Society. I stood up again. "You don't get to decide who belongs," I said. "You never did." Karen tilted her head, studying me now. "And who are you?" she asked. "Another emotional parent?" I met her eyes. "I'm a father," I said. "And that's enough." She opened her mouth to respond. Then sirens cut through the air, close, fast. The sound rolled down the street, bouncing off houses, growing louder by the second. Every head turned toward it. Karen's smile faltered. "Just for a moment." "That's unnecessary," she said quickly. "This is an HOA matter." No one agreed. "No," someone said loudly. "This is assault." Another voice added, "On a disabled kid." Karen's hand tightened around the device again, then loosened when she realized how that looked on camera. She clipped it back onto her belt with forced calm. "I'll explain everything," she said. The authorities will understand. But the street already had. Neighbors weren't backing away anymore. They were closing in, not threatening, not violent, but united, protective. I felt it. My daughter felt it too. She leaned into me, gripping her walker, eyes still wet, but no longer darting in fear. She could feel the shift, the moment when she wasn't alone anymore. Karen looked around and finally saw it. Not just witnesses, opposition. And for the first time since she arrived, her voice lost its edge. "This is being blown out of proportion," she said. No one answered her, because some lines, once crossed, can't be minimized. And Karen had crossed the worst one of all. She hadn't just broken a rule. She had revealed who she was, and the consequences were already on their way. My wife was already on the phone. I hadn't even noticed when she pulled it out. In the chaos, my daughter shaking in my arms, neighbors shouting, Karen standing there with that cold, righteous look. It all blurred together. But then I saw my wife's face, and I knew something had shifted. She wasn't crying. She wasn't yelling. Her hands were steady. Her shoulders were straight. The panic that had lived in her eyes minutes earlier had burned away into something sharper, colder, controlled. She turned slightly away from the crowd, just enough to speak clearly. She said 4 calm words. "This is the police chief." Not loud, not dramatic, just factual. Karen laughed. It was quick and dismissive, the kind of laugh people use when they think they've already won. "Oh, please," Karen scoffed, waving her hand. "Everyone claims connections when they're caught. That doesn't scare me." A few neighbors exchanged looks. Phones stayed raised. No one spoke. My wife didn't argue. She didn't repeat herself. She listened, her head tilted slightly, eyes focused on something far beyond the street in front of us. She nodded once, then again. "Yes," she said quietly. "Yes, she's right here. Yes, there are witnesses." Karen shifted her weight. "You're wasting everyone's time," Karen said loudly, trying to reclaim the moment. "This is an HOA matter. I'll handle it." Handle it like she hadn't just shocked a disabled child in front of half the neighborhood. My wife lowered the phone slightly, not ending the call, just covering the microphone. She looked at Karen for the first time since the device fired. "You should step back," my wife said. Karen smirked. "You don't get to tell me what to do," she replied. "I have authority here." That's when we heard it. At first it was faint, barely noticeable under the noise of the crowd. Then it grew louder. Sirens, fast, close.